Storytime with Andy N and Amanda Nicholson. Storytime with Andy N and Amanda Nicholson. Well, Amanda, what are we doing today?
It's a new podcast.
Yeah, not reading in bed, is it? Our book review podcast.
It's
You're
like
not on
an
Spoken
extension.
Label.
Yeah.
Not on the Cole, Andy and Amanda show, is it?
No,
And it's not Comics Unity. So what is it?
it's called Storytime with Andy and reading in bed. Whatever you want to call it.
I thought you could say
No, it's called
Storytime
Storytime with Andy and Amanda. But it is an extension of reading in bed. It's like its baby sister, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely so. Now, obviously, this podcast is going to be coming out, what we reckon, around about monthly, don't we? So every 2 weeks or so in between reading in bed episodes. Now, I think obviously it's only fair people that don't know us. First of all, Amanda, who are we? Ladies first.
I'm Amanda Nicholson. I'm an author and copywriter, and some of my books include Ghost of Me and How to Write Wrong, which is a bit like a choose-your-own adventure story. Yeah,
you also should be telling people, Amanda, about your alternative writing name, shouldn't you, to prevent confusion?
Yeah, my books are under Amanda Steele because that's from before I got married.
Yeah, to me.
To you. and someone who we both know as well said that Amanda Steele sounds much better.
Oh, God, yeah. I'll tell them one thing for saying on that as well. Anyway, of course, now, I am Andy N, of course. If you want to break the fourth wall, it's Andy Nicholson. But Andy N, I've used it for 20-odd years, so it is Andy N to you. Now, I'm the author of 6 full-length poetry books, the most last 2 being Haiku of Life and I can't believe what is it now. Man's gone blank. What's that haiku book I did before Haiku of Life, Amanda? I've forgotten it now.
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh,
it's not the haiku was all I could see, is it?
Yeah, something like that. I'll remember it next time. As you can see, we scripted all this out, and I'm forgetting things, and Amanda's forgetting things, so we're doing very, very well here today. I'll remember it.
To be honest, it's a challenge remembering who I am sometime with my alternative identities.
Oh, I am no better. And like I said, I've got various IDs and do various pieces. You forget, that's why. I do a podcast called Spoken Label as well by myself, where I chat to writers and poets. I also have ambient music under the name Ocean and the Bockles. So we're both very, very busy people. But we wanted to do this Monday, didn't we, really? Because we thought it'd be fun just to, once a month, read out a couple of pieces of each of ours, don't we?
Yeah, sometimes it might be other people's pieces if we like it, and most of the time it'll be our own.
Yeah, and some of these pieces we're going to do, some will be brand new, some will be a little bit older, won't we? Yeah. Now, what we're going to do today is, should we tell people, Andrew, should we just get reading?
You can tell people if you like.
Yeah, we're going to do 5 pieces today. Now, I'm going to do 3. Perhaps normally it'd just be 2 each, but there's a special reason for the third one today. So we're going to do 3 today. Now, the first one I'm going to do is a bit of flash fiction, bizarrely enough, because people obviously know us more, Amanda, really, don't we? Perhaps because we're both poets, aren't we? As well as everything else we do. But this first one I did, Amanda, I won an award in this recently, didn't I?
Yeah, third place.
Third place, yeah, in Hannah Kate's 3-Minute Scares competition, which can be found every Saturday on not Manchester, I think it was North Manchester FM. You see how organised I am today, 2 till 1 till 3. It's a regular programme. This is the piece that Ramsey Campbell did. It's give me a really big praise on, and I was just a bit gobsmacked on this one. So. Okay, this is Winter and Only Winter. Winter was the only time they could be together. Not spring with the awakening animals or summer with the endless green fields that led from the coastline to the city, but winter. Not autumn and bonfires and fireworks that lit up the sky like an exploding aeroplane, but winter, when the snow began to come down and they could kiss in the snow, walk on the beach. Winter, and only winter, when the skies began to darken quicker, and she could not be afraid of the sunlight constantly, and he could wander over there, not afraid to bring unwanted light into a cave. Winter, was the only season they could be together, from November to February, and walk in the fields at 3 p.m. every day, knowing the world could not stop them being together. And all summer were the sunbathers who would run onto the beach at each and every dawn until dusk, and laugh at others stood there afraid to step out the shadows to join them. Winter, and only winter, when the mood quickened, when she could feed without fear, and he could hold her in his arms afterwards to calm her down in the ice-cold rain until her guilt faded away. Winter was the only season they could be together, right up until he left her, after watching her fall asleep again, pale as a ghost, churning toward the land of shadows, in between life and death.
Yay! Plus, the audience are clapping. Imaginary audience.
Yeah, imaginary audience there, definitely. A nice, cheerful piece, that one, people might guess. So, right, okay, so what we're going to do today, obviously, Amanda's going to read one now. I don't actually know what she's going to read. So,
I'm going to read the poem that I wrote, especially for Remembrance Sunday, however many years ago it was, when we read at that church in Stockport.
Yes, old church in Stockport. Oh, yes, that was a few years back, wasn't it? Yeah. Of course, so it's worth people knowing on the day we're recording. This is Remembrance Sunday. So, over to you, Mandy.
This is called Shots Fired. Victory and glory were ours. The real-life nightmares were his. He shot the enemy dead. Bang, bang, bang. He pushed fear deep down. Stiff upper lip, he carried on. Kill or be killed. Bang, bang, bang. Deserters were cowards. Friends fell around him. He might be next. Bang, bang, bang. It was over, but he lived on, reliving in nightmares, mistaking night sweats for blood. Bang, bang, bang.
Powerful, really, really powerful, Amanda. That I've got to ask you, obviously, it's always good to do a podcast like this. We talk about writing and reading examples of our workout. I remember you writing that one a couple of years ago, and do you think it's quite different to what you normally write in poetry-wise?
I think, yeah, definitely. It's like, I know I'm well known for like my sort of dark humour and people getting killed in comedic ways, but this is just a sort of different thing, and I think I wrote it specifically for that reading in church.
Yeah, you did.
It was a couple of weeks before, so I had a couple of weeks to come up with something.
Yeah, I remember doing that, and it's at the time I remember saying at the time that it's really, really different to what you normally write. And I'm always a believer, and I want to ask your opinion on this, man, before we move on, of course, is it always good as a writer to actually be able to constantly write different voices all the time? And it's a case of pushing yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so, because otherwise you just end up like, as soon as you start reading, people are like, oh, they're going to read this or they're going to read something like that. If you do a lot of different things, you can surprise people sometimes.
Yeah, and that's in a very, very roundabout way, Amanda. You've said what I'm going to go on to next, actually. So obviously, like, people know me obviously for doing me, obviously everything but everything like rambling music, podcasting, and poetry. It's what pretty all over lockdown, Amanda, really, didn't I? Your encouragement and like a workshop we had going. I'm going to go at writing flash fiction. Yeah. And I've got examples of it before when I did that years ago, and they weren't very good. They really weren't very good. But I've wrote some really good pieces of this lockdown itself, and I'm going to, as a brand new piece, I'm going to read out this one next as well. This one came off some pieces we did in our last workshop, was it? We did a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And when we came, and I think, was it me that came up with this prompt, or was it you?
I don't know. You'd have to tell me what the poem is first.
It's flash
fiction. So.
Flash fiction. Mannequins.
I think that was you.
Possibly, yeah. I know. Yeah. So what the prompt was, I can't remember. I don't know who set it. Mannequin or mannequins. And Amanda wrote a very grisly short horror story on that. She did. Which was grizzly, really, wasn't it? I think people kind of expected that one of you in some ways.
Yeah.
I did. So I went in a rather different direction. So, how would you describe this piece, Amanda? I'm going to read out my piece about mannequins.
Unique.
Yeah, it's not horror, is it?
No.
I think what is it? Weird fiction. Is that a better way of putting it?
Yeah.
Weird flash fiction. Okay, and this is Mannequin and Chips. Yeah, you would have thought you were drunk too. Well, I'd had a few beers with Mikey and Danny over at the Crown Anchor. I wasn't drunk. Well, not like the previous Saturday, when the three of us got that drunk. I passed out at the bus stop, missed the last bus home. I didn't wake up till 7 a.m. the next morning when a policeman tapped me on the shoulder saying, "Shouldn't you be sleeping this off at home?" That was a heck of a night, I've got to say, which made that following Saturday night a massive anticlimax when Danny arrived and told us he couldn't stop out all night as he was taking his sister's kid to go and watch Oldham Athletic early the next morning. Spoiled sport Mikey decided to call it quits early too, so I decided to go and get a load of chips and have them all waiting for the bus. And guess what? I was halfway through eating them when I heard a tap on the window of the local Primark behind the back of me. Some poor bastard's working late tonight, I thought to myself, turning around and smiling at him, only to see one of the bloody mannequins that come to life. Yeah, I couldn't believe it too. For a few seconds I thought I was dreaming until she knocked on the window again, almost like she was trying to wake me up. "Sorry," she began politely. "You're a mannequin." I stumbled on my words. "I don't normally eat chips," she carried on, "but the cleaner's not left a spare sandwiches behind for me tonight, so I'm starving." I looked at my watch. "I've got 15 minutes spare," I answered, stunned. "Do you want me to go and get you a bag?" "Please," she smiled. "How about curry and chips?" She smiled even more. 5 minutes later, she took them off me at the staff entrance with a huge smile. It made the newspapers on Monday when the security couldn't make out who'd wrote all over the main till in curry sauce. Thanks, Andy.
Yeah. You've changed that a little bit since you last read it, Speakeasy.
Probably. I'm not really speaking. I read it right out stop, but I've just swapped a couple of words.
I thought it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's slightly different, I think.
Yeah, I think it's. Can I ask you a question on this piece, man, before we carry on? Because it's you know what I'm like, right? People know my poetry, and poetry is usually very, very serious. Is it then weird, a bit weird, when you see I go and do slightly bits of flash fiction, and they tend to go in very weird directions like that?
I think it keeps people guessing. You don't know where it's going, do you?
No, that's for sure. But I think it's good as well, really, because obviously people are under. We do a lot of readings here and everywhere, don't we? And it's always good. I think it's good if you're reading very serious poems out. But I think there's also the art, isn't there? Being entertaining of it as well, isn't it? And I think it's good sometimes you do basically that. And I don't know if I call it a comedy. I wouldn't call it serious. It's just something weird in the middle, isn't it? So
yeah.
Right. Okay. Now, over to Amanda.
Okay, so I'm going to do a bit of flash fiction, and it's one that I came up with in the workshop, and it's in our joint book that's coming out on the 19th of November. And what's our joint book called?
It's not the haiku we could all see, is it? It's not the lockdown we could see, not the streets all we could see.
The snow was all we could see.
That's it, the snow was all we could see.
Yeah. So this piece from it is called Stepping into the Snow. What is it? I thought, as I took the first step into the snow, watching it stick to my boots before running away and frantically trying to get it off. It was still there, and it couldn't be anything good. So I ran back into the house and watched it warily through the window. It covered the grass of our little back garden. If it didn't go away soon, I might never be able to leave the house again. The next day, it had formed itself into a man, a scary-looking fat man with a lopsided head, one black buttoned eye and a carrot for a nose. Another black button lay on the small uncovered patch of grass behind it, its other eye. If it was, he didn't seem to mind or feel any pain. That only made me more scared. If he couldn't feel pain, he could force his way inside and get me. There was nothing I could do to protect him, to protect myself from him hurting me. And that's the end.
Oh God, you caught me out there with that then. Honestly, it's like, it's really good we do this sort of podcast where that's not a piece I've heard Amanda read before, so that's really exclusive. And it's in the book, and I was like, you forget things sometimes, you do. So I had made it going on a bit longer, that piece, actually. It was excellent. Tremendous. As we know, somebody would say.
Yeah, so. And you can find other strange pieces like that in the book from both of us, can't you?
Oh, yeah. Some more saying than others, that's for sure, with it, isn't it? So, right, okay. I'm going to conclude today now, aren't I, Amanda?
Yeah.
Yeah, now, this one's a very serious piece to finish off with today. And it's a piece that I've been reading. It's an older one, this as well, but it's poignant for today because I said before, this is Remembrance Sunday. Now, a piece I wrote some years ago, and this was about my uncle, my dad's brother, that was sadly killed in the Second World War, and this is about him, really, okay? And it's perfectly Remembrance Sunday, and this is called Percy. I never met you, but I could imagine you stood there even now in your uniform with your slightly bent cap. I never looked up at you growing up and said with a wide-eyed innocence, you were almost as big as a tree, all 6'4" of you. Never served beside you for the mud in Burma, which must have been hell to crawl through before being transferred possibly against your choice to India. Well, I like to think you imagined you were an explorer, stepping into the unknown. Never marched alongside you every morning and at night as part of the Fusiliers, or drank a warm beer with you on the rare occasion you managed to rest. I wasn't there when you went back for a final time. Never heard you say, I'll write soon, and your letter only arrived after you were gone. I was told you died like a man, leading your men into the gates of the machine guns, which cut you down like the Charger and the Light Brigade, and passed on to others lived to fight another day. I never met you, but I can imagine you stood there in uniform, even though we never met. But I can taste your thoughts, ride up into the end, into the embrace of shadows. Percy, Henry, Nicholson, 1918 to 1943. Percy, Henry, Nicholson, my uncle, 1918 to 1943.
That's a really good way to end now.
Yeah, it's impossible. I wouldn't want to do another piece after that. I think it'd be a struggle for you as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But anyway, guys and girls, if you liked it, subscribe. As I said, please come back again because we want to make a regular series for you. And who knows, man? We might bring guests on even in the future. People want to come and do a few pieces with us, don't we?
Yeah. We're doing it on Zoom, so it's easy to add another person, really, isn't it?
Yeah. So we'll have a chat in the future. Watch your space. So, anyway, to quote Don Callis over at Impact Wrestling, I use this all the time, but it's true. Stay safe and stay over. And to finish off with, as we also do in Reading in Bed, say bye, Amanda.
Bye, Amanda, and everybody else.
Storytime with Andy N and Amanda Nicholson. Storytime with Andy N and Amanda Nicholson.